Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deck, and if you enjoy talking about gaming in any way, shape or form, you're going to feel right at home here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my own personal thoughts and reactions to the PlayStation 5 reveal live stream, which happened last night. I'm just going to go through my thoughts on everything that was talked about during the event. I'm not going to talk about every single thing, but I'm just going to be talking about the things that stood out to me the most and the things that left an impression on me. And then at the end, I'm going to summarize my thoughts on the conference as a whole and how it kind of impacts my anticipation for the PlayStation 5. So for those of you who haven't actually seen any of my gaming content before, I will just give a bit of context by saying I am a huge fan of PlayStation. Now, I am a very neutral gamer. I also own an Xbox One S as well as my PlayStation 4. I did own a Nintendo Switch. I did sell my Switch just because I never really used it that much. I didn't really have much time for it, but I am a big fan of PlayStation. I do have a lot of brand loyalty to PlayStation. I grew up with Sony, and I've owned every PlayStation console. So for me, the PS5 is definitely the next generation console I am most excited about and the one I am most anticipating. So this event has kind of been a long time coming. Sony have been keeping their cards pretty close to the chest when it comes to the PlayStation 5. They haven't really spoken a lot about it, and when they have spoken about it, they've been fairly vague. The only real substantial thing we've had from it up until this point was the reveal of the controller, which the controller at first I wasn't really a fan of. I don't know what it was. It's just my first impressions when I first saw it. I didn't really like it that much, but as time's gone on, I've grown to love this controller design, and I can't wait to try it out myself. So going into this event, I was very excited to see what Sony had to offer, especially after Microsoft's pretty abysmal effort last month with their third-party showcase. I was really hoping Sony would knock it out of the park with this one, and I think in some ways they did, and in other ways they didn't. I think they opened it in a really weird way when we got to see a trailer for GTA 5 coming to the PlayStation 5. Now, this doesn't necessarily surprise me. Like, GTA 5 is literally the biggest game of all time and still is the most profitable video game of all time. It still makes huge amounts of money today, even though it's been out for nearly 8 years. But GTA 5, it doesn't surprise me that it's coming to PlayStation 5. I'm assuming it will come to the Xbox Series X as well. Just because, as I said, this is the biggest game of all time. Everyone's played GTA 5. Everyone really likes it for the most part. It's just a really successful game that, you know, it has a huge player base, so to bring it into it was really cool. While I don't know what's going to go on with the single-player campaign, it was quite cool that they announced that if you have GTA 5, you'll be able to get GTA Online for free on PlayStation 5, which is really cool. And also they announced that GTA Online players are actually going to receive $1 million in online cash every month in the run-up to the release of GTA 5 on the PS5. So I think that was a really cool announcement. Again, it was a bit of a weird one to start on because it was just something that I didn't expect, but then when it actually came up, I was like, I mean, this makes sense. I just didn't expect them to open the show like this. And I've seen a lot of people really disappointed, especially because the show opens up with the Rockstar logo and everyone freaked out, but then it was just GTA 5. But, you know, I love GTA 5. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I'd say it's definitely my top 5. I've played that game many hours. I've bought the game 4 times itself. So I'm going to more than likely pick this up on PlayStation 5 and play it yet again. Then they followed up with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, there's a lot of confusion online as to what this actually is. I don't understand why there's so much confusion. I think it's very obvious. But Spider-Man Miles Morales is essentially a standalone expansion for Spider-Man, which I think is very exciting. Now, Spider-Man is a fantastic game. Insomniac absolutely knocked it out of the park with that game. I think it's one of the best exclusives on the PlayStation 4. They just really captured what it feels like to be Spider-Man. It's basically, they did for Spider-Man what the Arkham games did for Batman. It's just so dead on, and I love it. It's so much fun. So them doing a Miles Morales expansion I think is awesome. Miles was a great character in that game, and they're finally going to be able to explore him and actually follow his journey into becoming Spider-Man, which I think will kind of play into the eventual Spider-Man 2, which I'm sure we will get. But yeah, this is a standalone expansion. Basically, think along the lines of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, what that was to Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. That is what Miles Morales is to Spider-Man. It's just a standalone expansion, and they also said as well that they dropped this on Twitter, that this is going to be launching alongside a PlayStation 5 remaster for Spider-Man. So if you haven't played Spider-Man before, or even if you have, you'll be able to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version, and this will also be included within that. I'm sure they're going to sell it separately, just because, again, this is a standalone expansion. But yes, a really cool idea to kind of bring us into the Miles Morales storyline. I'm very excited to take this and give this a whirl. Now, Insomniac didn't stop there. We also got a trailer for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Now, this was a big rumor going into this particular show, is that we were going to get an announcement of a new Ratchet & Clank game, and this is very exciting news. I love Ratchet & Clank. This is a fantastic series on the PlayStation. I think that this is just one of the most iconic and synonymous franchises with PlayStation. I think Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart looks amazing. I'm so impressed with this. They are really following on from the fantastic game they made in 2016, and this is the next step into that, and I absolutely love where they're going with this. You know, we've had the Future series, we've had the Classic series. This is now them doing something interdimensional. This is them doing something multiversal. Like, I think this is so cool. Like, this idea of the multiverse that they're kind of playing with here, different dimensions. It's a very new dimension, you know, if you pardon the pun, of for Ratchet & Clank as a franchise. And I think this game looks stunning. Like, obviously, with a game like this, it's very easy to make it look pretty and to make it stunning. Ratchet & Clank on the PlayStation 4 already looks amazing, but to see this on the PlayStation 5, it just looked incredible, and I cannot wait to play this. Again, I'm a big fan of the series. I've not played every single entry, but I've played quite a lot of them, and I'm a big fan of the series, so I'm very excited for this new game. And for a PlayStation 5, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a launch title. I couldn't be happier. Now, a game that definitely caught everyone's attention was Kena Bridge of Spirits. This game kind of came out of nowhere, and it was actually really cool looking, like in terms of the world and the world building of it, the characters, the creatures within it, and the graphics. It just stood out as this really interesting looking game throughout this entire slate. Like, obviously this slate did have a lot of big announcements in it, but this one, being a bit of a smaller title, really stood out, and I've seen a lot of impressions from this online, so a lot of people have really got their eyes on this one, and I can see why, because it just really stood out among the other games, especially because it came out right in the middle of the show with a bunch of other smaller, more independent titles, and this one just really grabbed everyone's attention. Like, it does really pop out of the screen, and I can see why people are obsessing over this, because it is really great looking. And while me myself, I'm not sure if it's 100% my kind of thing, and I don't know if I will play it myself, I can see why people are getting excited about it, because again, me myself, even I was drawn to the screen when this was on. We also got the announcement for Gran Turismo 7, and this looked phenomenal. I mean, racing games are always a fantastic outlet to show your console's power and graphics, and Gran Turismo 7, I'm sure, is going to do that. I've never played a Gran Turismo game myself. I've actually always been, as far as racing games are concerned, I'm a lot bigger fan of Forza on the Xbox. I love Forza, I think they're amazing, but I think the Gran Turismo series, you know, this might be the first one I pick up. If this is a PS5 launch title, which I think it will be, I am very interested to see how this looks, because again, just based on this trailer and this gameplay, it looks phenomenal. And I think even gameplay-wise, this looks really fun as well. I've never really been into Gran Turismo, I've never really looked into it, but this could be the first entry that really gets me into the series, and this will be a really strong contender for my first pickup. We also got the announcement for Resident Evil Village, which is otherwise known as Resident Evil 8. This was a really awesome announcement. Like, this was a great trailer, like, especially because we did kind of know about this going into it. Even this name was leaked about a day or so beforehand. But the way they kind of went through this trailer, because you didn't actually know it was a Resident Evil game for the most part, like, while you're kind of following around, it's not until Chris Redfield shows up at the end that you actually get the confirmation that this is Resident Evil. And I'm excited about this, because even though I'm not a huge fan of the Resident Evil series yet, I very, very recently played Resident Evil 2, the remake, and I absolutely adored it. And I'm very, very excited to play Resident Evil 3 remake as well. I'm just waiting for the price to go down on that a little bit. But I'm very much invested in this series already. Like, I kind of just want to go through and play them all. And obviously this seems to be a first-person game, which is going to follow on from Resident Evil 7. So I think this game looks fantastic. It looks really good. I'm very excited about it. And again, even though I can't really class myself as a huge fan of Resident Evil quite yet, I'm still very excited to get to this game eventually. Like, I probably won't end up playing this when it comes out, because I still need to go through the entire series. But when I eventually get there, I'm already very, very hyped for it. We also got the announcement for Demon's Souls Remaster, which this has also been rumored for a while. Like, Bluepoint, who is kind of the go-to guys for PlayStation remasters, they of course did things like the Nathan Drake collection. This was something that has been in the works for a while, and I think this is going to get a lot of people really excited. You know, Demon's Souls is a huge game for PlayStation fans, especially obviously this went on to inspire Dark Souls and Bloodborne and stuff like that. It's very synonymous with PlayStation, Demon's Souls, and this game is really going to grab a lot of people's attention. Again, this game has a huge fan base, and I think that this remaster is definitely deserved, and I definitely think a lot of people are going to really get excited about this. Now, Arcane Studios, the guys behind Dishonored, actually came out with their new game, Deathloop, and this looked awesome. This looked really good. I mean, I am a little bit skeptical on it just because I think from a gameplay perspective, this game still looks very similar to Dishonored. Like, it feels like even power-wise, he has the same kind of powers that you have in Dishonored, and it looks very similar to Dishonored. And Dishonored, to me, is a really cool concept for a series, but I never really got into them as much as I wanted to. I never played the second game, but the first one, I just really was excited about it, and then when I played it myself, I wasn't that into it. I should probably go back and give it another go. But this game looks really great. It's basically taking the concept of Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow, you know, the typical, you know, time loop thing, and you basically are playing as a secret agent assassin who has to try and complete this mission before he gets taken out by a rival assassin. And I think that's a really cool idea because every time, obviously, you get killed, you get reset to the beginning, and that's kind of how this game is going to play. And I think that with Arcane, you know, with their talent, with their skills, and also with the gameplay of Dishonored, I think this looks a bit smoother than Dishonored. I think this is going to actually benefit the game a lot more, and I think this could be what Dishonored tried to be in a way, and I think that this is a really exciting announcement. And again, I think for a gameplay, it just looks really fun and really interesting, so I'm very excited to see how this game develops. We also got the announcement for Hitman 3, which was a really cool surprise announcement. This was the one I didn't expect. Now, Hitman is a series I'm not super invested in. I played Hitman Absolution back on the Xbox 360, and I adored that game. I thought it was amazing. And I did want to play Hitman, the original Hitman of the new series, when that came out. However, I was put off because originally it was released episodically, and I thought that was kind of strange, and I wasn't really into that. And then, obviously, because I never played Hitman 1, I didn't play Hitman 2. But Hitman 3 grabbed my attention instantly because they had Agent 47 doing a mission in the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. That was an incredible looking set piece, especially because it just reminds me of Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. It just looks fantastic. If we get to like reenact that in the game, I think that's great. And this may inspire me to go back and play the other Hitman games, because again, I've always wanted to play them. I just was put off so much by the episodic thing when that first came out. But I may go back and play them now because I kind of want to get into this, and Hitman 3 looks really impressive. And again, I loved Absolution, so I think this could be something I could get into. But this was a really surprise announcement, and again, I really enjoyed what they showed here. And the big final announcement game-wise was Horizon Forbidden West, which is the long-awaited sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. We've kind of known this was in development for quite some time now. You know, Guerrilla, they kind of made Horizon Zero Dawn back in 2016. It was a huge success. Everyone loved it, and we've kind of known that we're going to be doing a sequel to Horizon at some point, and here it was. And I pretty much put money on this being announced here, and yes, I mean, it looks fantastic. Now, I am not a huge lover of Horizon Zero Dawn. It came out at a really bad time for me, just because Horizon Zero Dawn came out pretty shortly after Uncharted 4, and Uncharted 4 kind of ruined gaming for me briefly, just because I was so... because Uncharted 4 was so amazing and it was the perfect ending to my favourite series, I was kind of in this mindset of, oh, nothing in gaming is ever going to top this. Like, nothing is ever going to give me this same experience ever again. So for a brief time, sort of from the rest of 2016 and 2017, I wasn't really that into gaming, and that's why I was never really grabbed by Horizon Zero Dawn when it came out. But I do want to go back to Horizon and give it another go, because everyone loves it, and everyone really seems to, you know, dig this series and dig this franchise. And I think Guerrilla are a really talented studio, and I really want to see how, you know, from the first game going into this one, the jumps and the jump in technology, because I think that could be really impressive, because the world is incredible in Horizon. It's so creative and it's so interesting, and the characters seem really cool and really interesting. The robot designs are great. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Dinobots from Transformers, that sort of thing. It's really interesting looking world. So I do want to dive back into Horizon, because Forbidden West, this sequel, I think looks incredible. The graphics really are showing off what the PS5 can do. You know, the PS4 has really had a lot of fantastic showcase games throughout the years when you look at things like Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, or you look at things like Death Stranding, or of course we have The Last of Us Part 2 literally coming out next week, a week today, which I'm very, very excited about. I have that pre-order sorted. But this is going to be like the first major exclusive we have on the PlayStation 5 that's going to really debut its graphics, and I think that this trailer alone just shows the pure power we have with the PlayStation 5. And I think that Horizon, you know, again, this sort of game series that has these expansive and beautiful worlds, is the perfect outlet to showcase the graphics of the PS5, and this trailer really did that. So for me, even though I don't have a particular connection to Horizon Zero Dawn, the trailer for Forbidden West excited me specifically just because of how graphically impressive it was. And again, I do want to go back to Horizon Zero Dawn so I can get into this series and actually get super excited about this game. I can't promise that, of course. I might go back to it and still not particularly enjoy it, but I do think it was purely down to the fact that it came out at a bad time for me, because again, every game that came out in that time period didn't grab me. But I feel like with Horizon Forbidden West, this was the game everyone was waiting for. This is the whole thing that the PlayStation community have been waiting for years. We've been waiting for the announcement of a Horizon sequel, so we finally got it, and this was a real great way to end the show. And the final thing we got is we actually got the official look and the reveal of the console itself. Now, as I said at the beginning, we got the reveal of the controller a while ago, and that looks fantastic. And I obviously thought that based on the color scheme of that controller, we were going to get something in line with that for the console. And I've got to say, this has got to be the sexiest console I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm going to be honest, if you don't like this design, I'm very interested to hear why, because I genuinely don't understand how anyone could dislike this design. It looks so futuristic, but also so modern, and I think it's the white. Like, changing, this is the first white PlayStation console we've had. I know the PlayStation 1 was kind of white, but it was more of a grey, really. This is straight white, and having white just adds this level of pristine and cleanliness to it, and it looks beautiful. It looks stunning, and I think especially when it stood on, you know, when it stood vertically, it looks just beautiful. It looks like a modern skyscraper that you'd see in, you know, like in like Hong Kong or something. Like that's what it looks like. I mean, admittedly, when it is on the side, it does look a bit weird. It's something I'll get used to, but it's just on the side, it does look a bit wonky. But when it stood vertically, it is quite possibly the sexiest console of all time. And I said that about the PlayStation 4, and I still maintain that up until this point. But now with the PlayStation 5, it's got some pretty big competition. I mean, this console looks stunning. The lights look great. I think it looks so sleek and so new. I'm just very impressed with how it looks. Again, I think it matches the controller brilliantly. The color scheme is matching there. I just think this is a stunning looking console. I think Sony have really outdone themselves here, especially when the PlayStation consoles, in my opinion, especially the first 3 generations, were not really lookers. This one just absolutely it knocks a home run. It absolutely does. I think it looks stunning, and I am so happy with it. I can't wait to get it myself and to have it in front of me and own it, have it as part of my setup and as part of my display, because it's just a beautiful console, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So there you have it, guys. There's my thoughts on the PS5 reveal. Again, I just wanted to talk about everything that kind of stood out to me. I did miss out on some stuff, some smaller independent stuff. Like I say, I think that Project Athia, just to kind of mention a few here off the top of my head, Project Athia looked pretty interesting. Stray looked pretty cool. Returnal was kind of being posed as this new PlayStation franchise, and that also sounded pretty interesting. And again, Kena, Bridge of Spirits. We got a new look at Ghostwire Tokyo, which looked pretty cool. But for the most part, those other games didn't really stand out to me as much as the other ones I went more in depth with. But overall, I think this was a pretty good start for the PlayStation 5. I don't think it was incredible. I don't think they knocked it out of the park in regards to the overall show. I do think it was lacking in the middle, but I do think the show really gave us a good idea of what we can expect within the first couple of years of PlayStation 5 and what to be excited about. You know, I think when we look at the console itself, we know exactly what it looks like now, and I think the majority are pretty impressed. Obviously, there are a lot of memes online, as there always are with console reveals, but I think for the most part, everyone is really impressed with this design. And then as far as the games are concerned, especially exclusive-wise, you know, the fact we're getting a new Spider-Man standalone expansion, we're getting a whole new franchise with Returnal, we're getting a new Ratchet & Clank game, which is incredible. Gran Turismo 7 is coming back. Resident Evil's coming back. And we also have the long-awaited announcement of Horizon Forbidden West. This was a really good start for Sony, and I think, you know, for Microsoft, I don't like to compare the two, because obviously this is the console war and stuff like that. I don't really like to go into it, because again, I consider myself as a pretty neutral gamer. I don't think Microsoft, at least in their production, have really hyped up the Xbox Series X all that much. I think that the one announcement series they've done, which they did last month, obviously I did a video on that, was so boring and so underwhelming. We'll see how the one they're going to do next month is with their more first party focus. But so far, like the Xbox Series X, it looks like a very impressive console and a very impressive system, and a very impressive, you know, overall box like the Xbox One originally was. But as far as the games are concerned, there isn't really a lot to get excited about with the Series X right now. Whereas with the PlayStation 5, they really put their best foot forward with the games, which is the most important thing. And again, I think they really impressed everyone watching. So for me, I thought this was a great announcement for the PlayStation 5. I'm very much on board with the PS5. I was going to get it on, I was always going to get the PlayStation 5, but I'm probably going to get it on day one now, hopefully, because again, this is super impressive and I cannot wait to get my hands on it, and I can't wait to dive into the next generation of PlayStation. But what did you guys think about this? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy this PS5 reveal? And what are your thoughts on the games, the console, everything you want to talk about? Let's just have a conversation in the comment section down below. What do you think about all this? Make sure you let me know. And as always, guys, if you want to see more gaming content, movie content, and everything else in between, make sure you hit that like button and also that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.